my name is Jean Claude Monachon. I'm originally from Switzerland, but consider myself as a man of the world. Right now I'm blocked in Switzerland, far away from the beautiful diving sides of the Red Sea. In 1986, I decided to follow my passion and became a scuba diving instructor. And since then, I have been traveling the world and worked in this industry. Today, even if I turned 60, the energy that I have from this activity makes me feel like 39 and a few months. I'm the father of twins who are 18 years old, and my son has become a diver too. I'm responsible for the international business development of SSI worldwide.
First of all, I would like to really thank you for having the time and accepting to share some of your experience with me. What is actually your original background? What did you study, or if you have X work than diving?
Yeah, sure. So yes, actually, in Switzerland, the system is so that you go to school, and basically at that time, with 15, I was already done with my school. I had 9 years of school, and then you can go either to a study or to go to an apprenticeship. And I choose the way of going into an apprenticeship, which is called a commercial apprenticeship. So basically, it's working in an office, and so I started my career as an apprentice in a company which was linked to publicity, so print publicity. So I did there my 3 years, and then I was probably doing a good job. And I think it has been so in all my career that when I say something, I have sometimes, I would say, people who are following it because I think it's sensible, and they like maybe the way that the energy is going. So I was with 18 already leading a very small agency of the company in a small city, 5,000 inhabitants. And it was all related to printed publicity. And after that, I moved into sales and into administration. So I covered basically 3 different parts of that. So that was my career until I would say 26. Yes, I always did several courses. I keep on doing courses and learning still now, so it's never ending anyway. But I was playing ice hockey, I was in sport, and I was living in Switzerland in a part where there is absolutely no diving.
Yeah, cool. Actually, then, when did you start diving and where?
My very first dive, I will never forget. I was 14 years old, and it was in a very dark Swiss lake. And a friend of mine actually said, you should try diving. And they put me this double tank, and I was like this, very small. And I could only see his light. I had almost no education. And that was my first dive, but I really found it was fantastic. The feeling, I really liked it. And then from 14 to 26 or 25, I would say, I never dove anymore.
Okay. Cool. So if you will tell one reason to people who never dived before, why they should go dive, what that would be?
Well, for me, when I started really getting into this interest of scuba diving, I started, of course, I started in Switzerland too, and I went to a club, and it was more into a pool. And I think if I would stay there, I would still be in that pool and swimming and never do diving. But in July 86, actually, I decided to go on holiday in the Maldives. That was my dream, to go on an island and to see all the beauties of the underwater. So my approach was really to see the corals, the colors of the fishes, to see sharks and all of that. So I was fascinated by that, and that's why I really follow that. So some of the people, they may go for wrecks, they may be attracted by that, but for me it was really the clear water and the and fishes and corals.
Cool. So the transaction between being a diver and being a pro, what was the trigger? Why did you become a pro? Why actually you take it like a career?
It was actually something, I would say, which was in my gene somewhere. At school, the teacher, I wanted to become a teacher actually. And my teachers in secondary school said, you are linked to sport, you do not study enough, you will never be a teacher. And when I went to the Maldives in July 86, then I realized that the job of a diving instructor was quite fascinating, because I saw their interaction, there were different nationalities there. And actually I quit everything and I came back to the same island 5 months later. And I started to do all the various courses. And in November 87, I became a pro. So I was diving, you know, several times a day and leading snorkeling tours. I love snorkeling too. And that was really because you are able to provide education, even if you are not a teacher, but you touch so many things. You learn how to provide, let's say, a theory lesson. You have practical application. And I would say the most rewarding thing is that if you really start to have the divers at first, you know, these new divers, they do a try scuba and they have these eyes opening and they breathe underwater and they realize how easy it is at the end. And you see them going from 0 to hero in a very short period of time, because the systems are very well made. So this reward is just fantastic. And this is really what I liked the most when I started teaching.
Nice. What makes an instructor is a good instructor? So if you have some tips for instructors out there, what would those tips will be?
I would say you need to be first also a good listener and a good observer. You have, of course, you need to have some clear guidelines that you receive from the diving organization. So we have all the tools we need to teach, and you have really to be respectful to the, of course, the standards, definitely, because they are made by, let's say, professionals who studied how to keep the safety. But you have really to adapt yourself to every student, because every student can be different, depending on the, let's say, the nationality, depending on the age, the sex, all of that plays a big role. And I think one important part is that you should never force anybody to become a diver. I have seen situations where the husband wanted that the wife became a diver, and he would put so much pressure on her that you would see that was not her thing. Eventually it would be, but not under the pressure conditions. So I would say a good instructor has also to be a life coach somehow. You have to understand a little bit this psychology, and you have sometimes to be a good moderator and find the right compromises.
Cool. What is your favorite dive destination?
I would
and you
say
don't have to say Egypt.
No, I think, you know, I've been lucky in my career to go diving in many different places. I would say what I really realized is that if people start to dive in the Maldives, they are Maldives lovers. If they start to dive in Egypt, there is no comparison. They are Egypt lovers, Red Sea lovers. And it's really like that. So my favorite is certainly the dives that I have done in the Maldives, but I have done fantastic dives in Egypt. So I would say if I would balance the two places have a different approach in the terms that Maldives, you have maybe a different marine life, but the visibility can be really difficult sometimes. In Egypt, that's what I like the most. I mean, the visibility is just simply fantastic. So I would say those are the top two, definitely. in Switzerland, I have two places. One is called Verzasca, is a river in the Italian part, and the other part is under the ice. I don't like cold water, but under the ice is very special.
I believe so. I would love to try that maybe once. So since you achieved the very high positions in diving industry, if there is a secret that you can share with people, what would that secret be? And if you can actually briefly give an idea about this career so far.
Well, so I started in the Maldives, basically my professional career, and because if you have some abilities to understand the business approach, and you have different types of instructors, of course, the people that think it's such a dream job, which it is, but having a dream job mean you also have to work. And if you are passionate about what you do and you belong to this passionate group of people doing something that you love to do, then it's never work, first of all. I never considered my job as being a hard and difficult job. But because I also had some commercial and let's say commercial skills, marketing skills, you see the opportunities and you see where you can improve. And if you talk to the guest, then obviously you can make sure that you improve also the type of service you have to have. And every part of your life is always a challenge because things are changing and you have to adapt to the change. So that's the first, I would say, counsel, I would say, be open to change. So be ready to modify everything you do from today to tomorrow to adapt to a better solution. And there are many ways to have a better solution. The second part is, if you want to be successful in this industry, of course, you have, I don't know, you speak English, that's good, but the more languages you can speak, and I learned all my languages through diving, actually, not because I was at school or because I took courses. It was really by talking to the people and learning the vocabulary of the diving courses. It was just very easy. So I learned my languages and the more languages you speak, the more, I would say, employable you become. That's another, I would say, another asset. And then, I say in life, you can learn everything. But there is one thing you cannot learn, that's the attitude. If you have the right attitude and you are really serious about what you are doing, and behaving also professionally, meaning that you do not look, like a homeless person, because I have seen everything in this industry, or if you be very careful on what you drink or not drink, or not to, smoke too much, whatever. So if you have a healthy lifestyle and you behave like that and you are kind to your students and customers, then I would say you already have reached a lot in this environment. Plus, again, it's so diverse. You can be good in technique, in manipulating all the equipment pieces, or you can be better at teaching theory or whatever, or practical side, or marketing. Today you can be an expert also in, I would say, in social media. So you have so many different aspects that you can put into one pot, and the more you have, the better you will be, I would say, growing in your career.
Can't agree more. This is true. So you see now, and I'm sure that you will agree that the pandemic which we have now will definitely affect the business of diving. How do you see the business of diving after the pandemic? I know it can only be assumption. We cannot give a certain opinion about, but how do you see the business after the pandemic?
I think that, of course, it's difficult to say, but being in the water, with all the safety measures that we anyway always took, because it started years back when there was this first AIDS case. People didn't know if they could share a regulator or whatever. The equipment was not even ready for that, but we adapted to that. And again, in water, you do not share, I would say, bacteria and anything. So there will be some guidelines to respect, and we will all have to adapt to that. But I think that the teaching and the approach may be a bit different, because luckily enough, we have today very good digital materials, so you can take care of your customers, of your students, without having them in a classroom at first. You can do virtual classrooms like we do this talk now, and you can do basically the same. So time was always a problem for people in a stressed life. Maybe this will change again. But I think that diving will be different in a way, because everything will be different. It will never be the same. But I think diving was never a trend activity. It was something that is there since over 50 years. And you have very young people and you have very old people. So you have a mix of public. So therefore, it's already there, it will stay. I think diving will start again as soon as we can go in the water, and we are allowed to do so. In some countries, it is already the case. But definitely people will be even more protecting the environment. They will be more respectful. And I think this pandemic has now shown how fast, first of all, the environment, the nature is coming back. So I think this is certainly something people will remember, and will be more careful when they go into the water.
True. If you have some advices to give to dive instructors or dive centers, not just to face the current period, but also for the future, to have a successful business as a dive centers, or to be a successful instructor, what they should do now and what they should do in the future.
Diving is a super social activity. And when I started, you would spend the evenings, or every break, you would spend that time with your students, with guests in the resort, but even in Switzerland. The social activity was the major part. You dive maybe for 1 hour, but the time before and the time after can be super extended. It can be 1, 2, 3 hours. And this, if you are the kind of an instructor that if you are on a boat and you hide on your phone watching Netflix or whatever, and you don't talk to guests or to your divers, then you are introverted, then I would say you will have some difficult time, because you may be a super instructor, but the social aspect is super important. People, the guests, they have questions. They want to know why you came to this profession. How long have you been in this place? What did you like the most? Basically, a few questions that we cover right now. And they want to communicate with you, not only about, let's say, a teaching aspect. They want to communicate about some fishes, about the corals, and they may have sometimes really questions that you think, I have heard it 100 times. Sure, but if you love your job, then you have to transmit this passion. You have to take care of your customers in the way that for them, it's really a fantastic achievement to go in the water, and they spend sometimes a lot of money to go from different places in the world to see different species. So you have to respect that, but you have to be, I would say, a little bit open for discussion and really not hide. That's definitely one of the things that will help anyone to succeed in this profession.
True. And for the dive centers?
For the dive centers, definitely adapt to the changes. I think today we have the luck that with digital programs, we can provide tools in the hand of a dive center to not focus only on filling tanks, but also on focusing on, let's say, communication through social media, through video conferences, through WhatsApp, whatever you want to take. I think the face-to-face approach is nowadays possible through all the tools that we have, and they should really make sure they do that. You can have a diving center really, I don't know, somewhere in the Red Sea, even on a safari boat or the river boat, and you can have a good connection and stay in touch with your customers. I think if you really want to continue to be successful in this industry, you have to take advantage of all these means. If you don't do it, you know, people have several opportunities. They have so many choices. So you have to be closer to the people. And the closer you are, the better you will be also in terms of business.
That's true. So when all this done, if you have a chance to book a flight ticket, where will be the destination?
Okay, honestly, I think the first destination I would take, because it's not so far from Europe, I would go to Egypt.
Seriously?
Yes, seriously. Because it has been a long time I have not been there. And I think after this lockdown, first of all, the nature will have changed a little bit, I'm sure. And I want to see that.
Perfect. That's very nice.
And it's not because of you or because of this interview.
It's also good if it's because of me.
No, sure.
No, I'm just joking. So yeah, thank you very much, Jean Claude, for your time, and it's highly appreciated. And yeah, we are done for now.
Okay, it's a pleasure. Thank you.